Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka nabina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Brothers and sisters, the reason for me coming to you today is because I would like to, or we at as-Saafiy would like to create a virtual community, a virtual space for the recently reverted, for convert Muslims, whether they have recently converted or they have converted, they've long since converted and are just struggling with being Muslim and doing the Muslim thing. And the reason why I'm coming to you with this matter is because I recently have received a lot of feedback from reverts and from people who know reverts about their struggles and tragic stories, gut-wrenching stories. And this is not anything new. Obviously, I've been Muslim a very long time. I'm a revert myself, so I know a little something about those struggles. And I also have been active in the field of Islamic evangelism for quite some time. And so I've seen hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people convert to Islam. And I've seen the story just repeat itself. When a person first accepts Islam, they are king for a day. Well, not even a day. King for an hour, king for a few minutes. Everybody's coming up to you and hugging you and congratulating you and telling you how special you are and how much they love you and how welcomed you are, etc. But pretty soon, that room, that space where you proclaimed your shahada and entered into this new world, at some point, that room empties. And that convert is left there alone with a handful of books and brochures that are supposed to contain everything they need to know about their new life. Everything they need to know from a theological perspective, everything they need to know from a ritual perspective, a cultural perspective, the do's and don'ts, the etiquettes, the manners, the values of Islam, all of that is in these books, and somehow they are supposed to decipher all of that, digest all of that, and come back to the mosque the next day, just like all the other Muslims in the masjid, with the same level of understanding and faith and commitment, etc. And it doesn't work like that. What ends up happening is that that person who doesn't find the support that they need to really just learn this complex, basic ritual of prayer. In many cases, new Muslims don't have anyone who will dedicate time to teach them how to pray. And it is a very steep learning curve. And just imagine you want to pray to your Lord the way you see all the other Muslims praying, and you can't do it. The words are difficult to pronounce. All of the motions that you're supposed to do and the things that you're supposed to say and in the order in which you're supposed to say them. And no one will make time to teach you that. It's frustrating. People want to give up. What this has done for many reverts in terms of the emotional roller coaster that it puts them through internally is that it leads many of them to feel a sense of loneliness, a sense of isolation, a sense of confusion. What ultimately then sets in is depression. And some of the reverts then, over a period of time, and this happens in short order, and most of you have seen this, that the same person who came on a Jumu'ah, for example, and then maybe came that later on that evening and that weekend for some of the prayers or one of the classes, and then maybe popped up the following week, and then the next week. But pretty soon what tends to happen is that the number of visits whittles down until we don't see them anymore. And they become unmasked. They become people who They don't necessarily consider themselves belonging to a brick and mortar community, which leads to another state, which is that state of limbo. I'm a Muslim, I think. I still believe, but I don't know what I believe. I don't know if I believe the way I believed. I'm confused. I'm not sure where I am in terms of faith. I'm in this limbo. All of this is happening to so many people who just really want to believe in God and worship God the way God ought to be worshiped. And they need help. They need someone to simplify things for them. They need someone to listen to them. They have personal struggles that no one can understand except someone who's lived this experience. And this is why we want to create this space, brothers and sisters. This space for reverts, the recently reverted convert Muslims, whether they converted yesterday or they converted 10, 20 years ago. People who no one has ever showed them any empathy. And unfortunately, brothers and sisters, many of the brick and mortar conventional immigrant communities in this country are just ill-equipped to deal with the revert Muslim. They're ill-equipped. And sometimes they're disinterested in making that a focus. And even if they were interested in making that a focus, they lack the requisite empathy. How can they empathize? They don't know what it's like. They don't know what it's like to enter into an entirely new theology, ritual worship, culture, and have no support system whatsoever. They don't know what that's like. They can't empathize, even if they wanted to. And so we want to create this space. And in order to do that, we need your help. We need your support. And so that's why it's very important for us to hear from you. I'm hearing from reverts here and there. I'm hearing from people I know who are telling me about their own experience with reverts in their community and their struggles. We've got to, alhamdulillah, use the technology which is available for us, or available at our disposal, available to us. We've got to use that technology to get together. I know in communities there may be 3 or 4 reverts here and 3 or 4 reverts there, and just not enough support, and maybe not a person who is knowledgeable enough to lead a group session. And sometimes that's all we need. Sometimes we just need group therapy. There's nobody who can lead that, and so we end up just being kind of wayward. So what I'm saying is that we can come together using technology. We can use Clubhouse, we can use Facebook Live, YouTube Live. There's so many platforms. We can use all those platforms if that's what we see fit to do and what's most appropriate for to achieve our objective. But we've got to get together. We've got to sit and talk and discuss and empathize with each other and answer each other's questions and help each other get through and be that life preserver. Many of us feel like we are in the middle of an ocean with a flotation device, and no one will throw us a line. That's how we feel. And something can be done. We can do something. It's up to us to do something. So brothers and sisters, what I'm asking you to do is I'm asking you to email me at as-Saafiy.org and give me your suggestions and your ideas about this space, this virtual community for the recently reverted. I also want you to make sure that you're following us on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook so that when we do begin to go live with these discussions specifically geared toward the recently reverted, you'll know that we've gone live. And also subscribe to our YouTube page so that if we go live on YouTube or we post some very pertinent and important information to YouTube, which is very critical for reverts to hear and see, you'll be aware of that. And also spread the word. Tell other people and encourage other people to follow and subscribe. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing the feeling of the importance and critical nature of this with me. Thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you from Team as-Saafiy. Thank you, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.